Hello, and welcome to the Blue Shadow Podcast. My name is Joey.
I am Dan.
And today we have an interesting new format. So because there's no shows to review or anything, we're going to try out a new segment where we challenge ChatGPT to a battle to see who can write a more interesting story script, specifically for Star Wars and Parks and Recreation. We'll talk more about how that's going to go when we get there, but I do want to start with our usual intro of Dan. What have you been watching, playing, reading? What have you been up to?
Had a lot of time. So I have been reading Dooku Jedi Lost.
Woo!
I know. Finally getting into that. It's been
years.
Too long.
Your favorite character? What do you think of it so far?
Oh, it's good.
It's really good.
It's weird seeing Ventress in that light.
I know.
Humanizing.
Humanizing, and I think it really does a great job. And I don't know how far you've gotten in. It's been a little while.
Act 2 or Act 3.
Okay, so it really does a good job of making Count Dooku seem like a villain, a sympathetic villain.
Yeah.
But also making him very intimidating.
Yeah, it's from that old reference book, Stare of Superiority. That you can see where that comes from.
Oh yeah, and I love learning more about his backstory. I think I've said here before, my dad is the one who got me into Star Wars, and he would always say, Count Dooku's so lame. Why would they kill off Darth Maul to replace him with an old guy? And I think for a while I had that mindset until I watched the Clone Wars, read Dooku, Jedi Lost, and the Tales of the Jedi and everything. And it's such a great character.
Yeah, it's really surprising. And it's hard because he's the villain. Mm-hmm. It's very clear he's the villain, but they almost write him as an anti-hero.
Yeah. You understand where he's coming from completely.
I don't want to say you root for him, but
you're rooting for him.
In Jedi Lost, you are actively rooting for him in the beginning. Uh-huh. You know what happens. You know that he's the Sith Lord. Mm-hmm. Yet when they go back in time and you get more information about him, you're like, I kind of hope he does well.
Uh-huh. No, I think I'm so happy you're enjoying it because it really is. It's like everything you love about Count Dooku mm-hmm. dialed up to 11.
Yeah, and then you see all the other character interactions of people new mm-hmm. people, and you're like, I know how you end.
Yeah. If you have not read this, you really should give it a go or listen to the audio drama. They're both. I mean, I haven't read it, but Dan likes it. Audio drama was great. Give it a listen. It's a great story.
Yeah.
What else have you been up to?
Marvel Snap. Haven't played anything else besides that this week. For as much free time as I had, it just wasn't...
You've been reading.
Yeah, it wasn't spent playing.
Uh-huh. I honestly think the more free time I have, I do less. More substantial things. When I had a lot of free time around Easter break, I was playing Final Fantasy and not playing Marvel Snap. But if I have a minute at lunch, I'll play it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And my girlfriend and I got through season 6 of The West Wing.
Woo-hoo.
So we were on the last season 7. So.
Enjoying it still?
Yeah.
Good.
We have a lot of new characters in play.
It's always interesting later in the show when they introduce new characters.
All of which, though, are not inconsequential actors.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Bail Organa.
Oh, Jimmy Smits.
Has a rather large role.
I really feel like everyone is in this show, based on what you've described.
Without giving too much away, there's an election
mm-hmm.
between Jimmy Smits and Alan Alda.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting this on my list for sure.
It's long. They're 45-minute episodes,
mm-hmm.
but they go quick. And I've said it before. It's weird to see how what they were talking about in the late 90s, early 2000s, how that's playing out today.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Maybe you can do an episode on it.
I don't want to spoil it. There's a lot.
Well, it could be a spoiler episode. You can do it on your, a solo episode.
Solo West Wing story.
Okay. Anything else to add, Daniel?
No. If you guys haven't picked up, whenever Joey says an exasperated okay, it's my cue to stop talking. I get it at work. I get it here.
It usually is preceded by some sort of cheesy dad joke.
Goodness forbid.
He just threw his hands up dramatically. I wish you could have seen it.
We'll get cameras.
Maybe we need to invest in a camera.
We'll get cameras one day.
All right. Anything else watching?
No. How about you?
No. So we are still chugging our way through X-Men the Animated Series. Have been making a little more progress. Looking very forward to starting X-Men 97, which has just finished. So we're a little behind.
But you can watch it all at once now.
See, I like the weekly model, but I think it will have the advantage of me being able to like binge right through it. So yeah, that's what I've been watching. Haven't been playing anything really, but I am working on the Final Fantasy review that I've been talking about for a while. But I think within the next week I should have it recorded and out, and that'll be our first solo episode, which is kind of interesting. It should be good.
Solo, a Final Fantasy story. I don't think you'd be as annoyed if it wasn't the form of if it wasn't a Star Wars movie.
No. I like it. It's the repeated. Honestly, it was better on second attempt. Anyway, yeah, no, I think that's pretty much all I've been doing. I don't even know what I've been doing, but yeah, no, that X-Men the animated series has really been my only like nerd-based thing that I've been up to. With that, are you ready to transition into our topic for the day?
Yes.
So, like I said, we have a fun new idea. We'll see how the execution goes because we don't know what each other have been up to, but the concept here is we are challenging ChatGPT to write a story for a prompt that we've provided, and then we are each writing a response to the story. And Dan or I will pick who did a better job, but we won't know who wrote which thing. So the way the format goes is we're going to do one story about Parks and Rec. I've given Dan a prompt to challenge ChatGPT with and write, and Dan has given me a prompt. So we each have a little battle to go through. And we did this as well with a story from Parks and Recreation. Yes. So like a spinoff series from Parks and Rec.
Yes, it is important to note that we are not trying to rewrite existing storylines. Yes. They are two brand new storylines based off events that happened or were implied in the show or movie.
It's like building out a new part of it. And I do want to say, ChatGPT, if you've used it before, if you've not used it before, it's an AI text generation tool that'll allow it to like use the learning that it's done to spit out information. And it tends to provide some fluffy words or odd details. So we have gone through and kind of trimmed that. So it's less distinguishable from something a real person would write. So we'll see how obvious it is, or we'll see how it goes. So we're going to start with Star Wars. Would you like to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I will go first.
All right. So go ahead.
The prompt given to me by Joey was, and the prompts were written in the ChatGPT format, so we were both working off the same prompt. So when the prompt sounds a little robotic, please understand we were writing it for ChatGPT. So the prompt is, write me a synopsis of a new Star Wars movie exploring Ezra Bridger and Grand Admiral Thrawn's arrival in time on Peridia.
That sounds like an exciting story.
Yeah,
it's almost like I wrote the prompt.
Yes. So the first movie is called Star Wars: The Echoes of Peridia. And this movie follows, in the wake of the Galactic Civil War, we see that as the New Republic is trying to establish order following the defeat of, the Empire, a mysterious signal draws the attention of old heroes and new foes, setting the stage for an epic journey into the unknown. The story follows Ezra and Thrawn as they find themselves stranded on the remote planet of Peridia following the events of Rebels. Peridia is an unknown planet in a new galaxy. Ezra and Thrawn must navigate together the treacherous landscapes of Peridia while discovering secrets and working trying to uncover the secrets of Peridia. Ezra must use his connection with the Force to unravel Peridia's mysteries, while Thrawn must use his strategic ability to outsmart their enemies that they will make on the planet. Simultaneously, the New Republic is sending a rescue team comprised of none other than General Hera Syndulla and Sabine Wren to investigate to see if they can find where Ezra and Thrawn went. As our two protagonists delve deeper into the secrets of the planet, they uncover the new truth about the Force that threatens the way everything is viewed and the galaxy itself. That's story one.
Okay.
Story two.
I like that. I like the concept there. But I need to see story 2 before I make more comments.
Story 2 is called Heirs to the Galaxy.
Okay.
So, while the rebellion celebrates the victory on Lothal, the crew of the Ghost mourns the loss of their beloved friend Ezra Bridger. Little do they know, Ezra, along with Grand Admiral Thrawn, survived their mysterious journey with the Purgles. While Ezra may have succeeded in stopping Thrawn on Lothal, he must now stop him from returning to the known galaxy as the heir to the Empire. Ezra must find a way to stop Thrawn once and for all in order to save the galaxy from the nefarious Thrawn. A story that involves natives, dark magic, and strong Force connections, maybe even a Force ghost. Ezra and Thrawn separate but intertwined journeys. We follow Ezra and Thrawn's separate but intertwined journeys as the fates of the galaxy rest in the balance of the young Jedi.
I like that. So I think I want to go with story 2.
Okay.
Would that be yours or ChatGPT?
It was mine.
Hey! Congrats, you're better than a computer.
Thank you. ChatGPT's story really made them team up.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like,
I mean, I could see it.
When I was writing mine, I was debating after, would they potentially team up? Because what I did first was I did put into ChatGPT first so I can get the format and the general length. And I read it and I'm like, they're teaming up. That defeats the purpose. Then I'm like, well, could they team up? I could see them.
Depending on what they encounter. And I think this prompt was particularly fun because it was so aggressively open-ended.
Yes.
We don't see much of Peridia, really. We don't see what's on there.
Not yet.
We know there's some Marauders. We know there's Night Sisters.
The Na'vi.
Yeah, love them. I think what they encounter could push them together, but we obviously know they're far apart by the time of Ahsoka.
But my concern was, would Ezra team up with Thrawn? Ezra being the one who knew he was self-sacrificing to stop Thrawn at all costs.
And very recently, Thrawn had indirectly been responsible for the death of Kanan.
Yes.
I could see it not... I could see them not teaming up, for sure.
And that's where I struggled.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like they could team up out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
One of those Callus, Zeb sort of stories. But not quite.
For both of them. Like, Ezra is probably emotionally raw at this time.
Yeah.
And Thrawn is definitely angry. I feel like they may not be in the state to work together necessarily.
Maybe.
Possibly. I don't know.
It really depends what they encounter.
And they were gone for a long time. So, it could be they go their separate ways, then they find something and work together for a short period of time.
They could have worked together when they got there and then split apart.
Mm-hmm. The way that it's written, it kind of sounds like something happened. The way that they discuss it in Ahsoka, something happened. They definitely interacted once they got there, obviously.
Yeah.
So what happened? Who knows?
And how long was the journey? Were they just chilling in the bridge of the ship together?
These are great questions, because it seemed like it took Ahsoka and Huyang a while.
Yeah.
This brings a lot of questions, like the ship was compromised.
Right.
I don't know. Now we're getting into the
all
weeds,
the windows were broken.
Yeah.
So they probably left the bridge, right?
You'd think.
So what do you think happened?
What do I... now you made me come up with something that I challenged.
No. Just from getting to Peridia itself. From leaving Lothal to go to Peridia.
I feel like...
Because I agree. I feel like this was a long journey.
So if we're just talking straight up about that, the journey to and their first arrival, I feel like, for me, in my mind, if I were to write the story, which God knows I would not be hired by Lucasfilm, but I envision Ezra and Thrawn, they're still probably in a conflict. They'd obviously have to leave the bridge, I feel like, to survive.
Right.
So somehow they end up getting in the ship, and I imagine Ezra's bobbing and weaving, evading the stormtroopers, and I think this could be a great instance to show him fighting with the Force, because we see him do pretty well with it.
Yeah.
In Ahsoka. So fighting with the Force, he doesn't have his lightsaber. And I could see him again, evading, and maybe once they get there, the Purrgil like lets the ship go, and then it maybe crashes into the planet.
Yeah.
From there, maybe they encounter something that makes them work together. Because I can see, like, I think right off the bat they're going to be in conflict.
Yes.
But I think they might encounter a common enemy.
Right.
Whether it's marauders, whether it's, an animal Bad Batch style.
And we know that the stormtroopers don't survive.
No. Which is weird. There's definitely forces on the planet that are trying to...
Well, we've seen that before, though. When a ship crashes.
What are we talking about? Revenge of the Sith?
No, in End of the Clone Wars.
Oh, yeah. Kind of.
We know that they can die in a crash.
Uh-huh. Would it crash? Because we see it kind of rebuilt.
But do the Purrgils just kind of take it and then just, like, drop it and, like, kind of float it?
I could see Ezra at that moment learning from Kanan, telling the Purrgil to, like, let it go to destroy it, to sacrifice himself.
And remember, when we see them in Ahsoka, they are in a specific location. So that means they must have had time to at least either A, rebuild the ship, or B, find that.
So they definitely had time to rebuild the ship, we know, because it's got those cool gold accents.
Yeah.
But Ezra's, like, mobile, so I think they're running from something for sure.
Yeah.
Probably not just Thrawn.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think this is great. One thing I did love about the ChatGPT story is it could give some more insight into what's happening with Hera and Sabine.
Yes.
I did like that.
And I think we are going to get that.
I agree.
I'm really surprised we haven't gotten a New Republic show yet. But
that was supposed to happen.
That's kind of what we're getting now. Well, the reason I think they may have tabled the New Republic show...
Gina Carano.
What?
Gina Carano? She was supposed to be the
Practicality. Lead. Pragmatically, yes. Philosophically. We know it fails.
Yes.
So I don't know if people want to watch another failure in Star Wars. Because there's no hope. Like, what are they... For example, Rogue One. We know what happens in Rogue One.
Yeah.
We knew kind of what was going to happen.
It's kind of like everyone would get blown up by Starkiller Base.
Right.
Everyone that we know and care about.
And it's not even like they could have done anything good. Because from all accounts and everything we've seen in media so far, the New Republic is just incompetent in every sense of the word.
I could see them making I think the future... We're obviously going to see more of the New Republic in The Mandalorian.
Yes.
And that kind of stuff. But I think they're going to try and make it seem like they're trying their... Some people in the New Republic are trying their best and others are complacent or loyal to the Empire or something, explaining its downfall. I think there could be some nuance to it, but I agree it's destined to fail. Yeah. And we've seen a lot of destined to fail lately.
And there's little hope with it.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of a key point with Star Wars. Right.
Like, just going back to Rogue One, we knew that before Rogue One even started, we know they get the Death Star plans to Leia.
Did you have, upon first watch of Rogue One, did you think they were all going to die?
I didn't think they were all going to die. I knew a good chunk of them were going to die.
I thought Jyn and Cassian might survive. I thought some of them might survive, and as I was watching it, I thought, okay, these two are going to survive. They're clearly setting up a little romance.
Yeah.
No.
It was good. I watched that on New Year's Eve.
Did you time it so at midnight? Starkiller Base?
No, I watched it in theaters.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
That's when it came out.
Did you fall asleep?
No.
I didn't fall asleep either, but
no.
It is definitely on the lower end of my favorite Star Wars stories.
It was so packed. I was in the front right corner of the theater.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Stiff neck?
Exactly. I was like this.
It's a good movie. I throw a lot of shade to Rogue One. Only because I feel like people use it and Andor, and there's been a whole Twitter debate raging. I don't know if you've seen it, but Ahsoka versus Andor, which one is Star Wars? And they both are, for sure. I agree. But I'm going to be a politician for a little and say there are so many Star Wars-based elements in Andor. It's just told in a different way. And I feel the same way about Rogue One. It's just not as much my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm. I really liked Rogue One because we see exactly how it connects to the story.
I like that. And I feel like Obi-Wan, in a different way, a little more my speed, does a very similar thing with having very clear connections to what's to come, even though it did something that we clearly weren't expecting with little Leia.
Yeah.
But like it situates very well within what's happening. Where I feel like The Mandalorian, we don't really know a beginning and end point. I mean, big picture, but for these characters, we have no clue.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anything else to add about your fun Thrawn story? Thrawn Ezra story? Ezra? I got a disapproving look now.
Wasn't even disapproving. I'm more just upset I didn't come up with it myself. No, you could speculate on a million different things with Thrawn and Ezra. So again, it could really be anything, and that's the beauty of it. We know that these characters are. We know that Ezra is the type of character who will do what he needs to do to survive. We saw that from Rebels. But will he stoop to go help the person he sacrificed himself to stop? I don't know.
These are great questions, because it's like I think thinking about like the raw emotional state he would have been in, really like having just lost Kanan. I don't know if he could have brought himself. I think he would have sooner sacrificed himself and made sure Thrawn went down than worked with him.
That's kind of what I was.
I think if they work together, it'd have to be later on, maybe not immediately when they arrive at their destination.
And Thrawn probably would have had to do something sketchy to get Ezra where we were in Ahsoka. Backstab.
Yeah, and I don't remember that. And the
Outlook agrees.
And the like the Night Sister connection too could play a role in that.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about that too much, but yeah.
Well, there's so much. Anytime we get a new planet that we're on for a minuscule amount of time,
let alone a planet in a new galaxy, I still am
where we see the people, the Force, the father, the daughter, the son.
I never thought we would have seen that in live action Star Wars, but we're definitely closer than I ever would have imagined.
Yeah, or you can get some really trippy stuff coming up.
Did you like Mortis the first time?
Yeah, I thought it was different.
I was so confused. I had no clue what was going on.
Some pretty trippy Force stuff.
I definitely needed to go to some YouTube videos. I was not a fan of the weird Force stuff, believe it or not, at first.
Really?
No. It took me some time. Clone Wars and Rebels really cemented my love of like the Bendu, the Purgo, all of that weirdness. That's what really made me love it. And then reflecting back on the Clone Wars, Mortis obviously became... It was important at the time. I realized how important it was after I got to...
Didn't even talk about the World Between Worlds either.
I like the World Between Worlds.
Who doesn't? Never mind. We both know people who don't.
Yeah. Anyway, you good with your story?
I think so. Are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I really enjoyed the little things you got. So my ChatGPT, much like me, was feeling a little long-winded. Okay. So I have several paragraphs that I'm going to read off.
So let's do it.
The prompt that Dan gave me for Star Wars was, give me a synopsis of a new Star Wars movie following Rey Skywalker making her way through the galaxy after defeating Palpatine on Exegol.
If you guys didn't pick up on that, I was pandering here.
This was a very challenging question for me. If you've been listening for any amount of time, or if you haven't, I will say Rey is my favorite Star Wars character. I think there's so much depth to the character, so much to be explored, and I think only the surface is scratched in the sequel trilogy. And I think that if you asked me what my dream Star Wars story was, I would say a Rey movie. Something following Rey. Show. I don't even care. Whatever it is. I'm glad it's going to eventually be a movie. I will say, we know that the new movie is going to take place like 15 years after The Rise of Skywalker. That obviously wasn't part of the prompt. So I and ChatGPT ignored that.
Okay.
So this was very challenging for me. I had to really think about what I, as a big Rey fan, would want. And both ChatGPT and I took some swings. So...
let's hear him.
All right. Here is story 1. This story is titled Star Wars Bonds of the Light. After the defeat of Emperor Palpatine and the Final Order, Rey Skywalker sets out to rebuild the Jedi Order. In the time since the Battle of Exegol, she established a new central temple on Agen Class and traveled the galaxy to find other Force-sensitive individuals. Unlike the Jedi of the Republic, she sets up satellite temples, allowing each new Jedi recruit to serve near their homeworld while still being a part of the larger order. While undertaking this effort, Rey frequently sees an apparition of Ben Solo, but is unable to communicate with him. Whew, I need a breath. All right. On a mission to establish a new temple, Rey travels to the mysterious world of Aetherius, which has a strong connection to the Force. On her way to meet Finn and the other Jedi who are already at the site of the new temple, she's drawn into a mysterious cavern. There she encounters Ben Solo, seemingly in the flesh, who's lost most of the blue aura surrounding him. After having their first conversation since he became one with the Force, Ben reveals that their unique connection through the Force dyad has kept him unable to fully move into the cosmic force like his mother and uncle. He warns her that the Jedi are in danger, and that Aetherius is home to a race that channels the dark side of the Force in a sinister way. Unlike the Sith, these people, the Shadowborn, are able to commune with those who have already passed and return them to the physical world in a twisted attempt to achieve eternal life. Ben informs Rey that the evil practices conducted by the Shadowborn have allowed him to manifest in this way, even being able to interact with the physical world. He also tells Rey that he knows the Shadowborn are planning to attack the new Jedi Temple and capture the Jedi in order to learn their secrets to eternal life. Finally, Ben tells Rey he came to have this newfound physical form by emerging from a mysterious kyber crystal in the Shadowborn encampment, which he believes is the source of their power. He vows to help her defeat them, destroying the kyber crystal and resolving the threat to the emerging Jedi Order. After reuniting with Finn and the other Jedi, Rey and Ben explain their situation and devise a plan to invade the Shadowborn encampment. During this journey, the Jedi learn more about their mysterious foes, who use non-traditional means of attacking, forcing the Jedi to strengthen their connection to the Force in order to persevere. Through the story, Rey and Ben come to better understand each other amid their interactions to better understand each other and their actions during the reign of the First Order and strengthen their bond more than ever before. At the Shadowborn encampment, a battle rages on between the ghoulish resurrected specters and the Jedi as they make their way to the temple containing the mysterious crystal fueling their dark powers. While Rey and Finn confront the leader of the Shadowborn, Ben attempts to sacrifice himself and destroy the sacred kyber crystal. Despite expecting to return to his previous state in between the cosmic and living Force, Ben finds himself fully reincarnated. This is the result of his interactions with the mysterious kyber crystal, along with the newfound strength of his connection to Rey through their Force dyad. The story ends with the Jedi building a temple on Aetherius. The planet is now steeped in the light side of the Force, and the Jedi remain there to maintain that connection. Rey, Finn, and Ben return to the central temple on Agent Class. There they plan to continue their efforts to restore the Jedi Order to its former glory.
I liked it.
Dan has a little smile on his face. Shall we do the second one, or do you want to talk about that first?
Let's do the second one. That way we can compare. Or do you need to catch a breath?
Oh, no, I'm good. Take a deep breath. That was a lot. All right. This one's a lot, too.
Coming out.
What'd you say?
The fanboy is coming out.
ChatGPT. Star Wars, Light of the Galaxy. This is the second story. Set 5 years after the climatic events on Exegol, Rey Skywalker embarks on a journey to rebuild the Jedi Order and bring peace to a galaxy still reeling from the tyranny of the Sith. With the defeat of Emperor Palpatine and the fall of the Final Order on Exegol, hope has returned to the galaxy. Rey Skywalker, last of the Jedi, has taken up the mantle to restore the Jedi Order. Guided by the teachings of her predecessors, Rey travels the galaxy in search of Force-sensitive individuals determined to train a new generation of Jedi Knights. Rey, accompanied by BB-8, Finn, and Chewbacca, journey on the Millennium Falcon to distant planets where whispers of the Force are heard. On the vibrant world of Arcanis, Rey discovers a hidden enclave of Force-sensitive children. As she begins their training, she encounters a mysterious masked figure known only as the Seeker, who offers cryptic advice about an impending darkness. Meanwhile, Poe Dameron and Rose Tico, now prominent leaders of the New Republic, work tirelessly to establish a new government. However, remnants of the Sith Eternal, led by the fanatical Grand Admiral Tarsis, conspire to resurrect the dark side and overthrow the fragile peace. Rey faces challenges in training the younglings, grappling with her own insecurities and the legacy of the Jedi. She seeks guidance from the Force, spirits of Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa, who urge her to trust her instincts and embrace the balance within her. Poe and Rose undercover a plot by Grand Admiral Tarsis to unleash a devastating weapon hidden on the ancient Sith world of Moraban. They rally old allies, including Lando Calrissian and Janna, to thwart the sinister plan. Rey encounters the Seeker again, who reveals himself to be a former Jedi named Kaden, fallen to the darkness but seeking redemption. Kaden warns Rey of Tarsis' true intentions to harness a forbidden Sith ritual that could corrupt the Force itself. The climatic showdown takes place on Morban, where Rey and her young apprentices face Tarsus and his legion of the Sith loyalists. As the battle rages, Rey confronts Tarsus in a duel that tests her resolve and understanding of the Force. With the help of her students and the spirits of the past, Rey overcomes Tarsus, preventing the Sith ritual and saving the galaxy from another era of darkness. In the aftermath, Rey establishes a new Jedi temple on the reclaimed world of Lothal, symbolizing a new dawn for the Jedi Order. She reflects on her journey, knowing the path of the Jedi will always be fraught with challenge, but confident in the resilience of hope and the enduring light of the Force. The film concludes with Rey looking out on the sons of Lothal, surrounded by her new Jedi apprentices, ready to face the future together. The legacy of the Jedi lives on, stronger than ever before.
I liked it.
I feel like both are honestly pretty good.
Yeah, both were, the similarities were there, and I'm like, ooh.
I knew one thing. ChatGPT did one thing that I think might have thrown you through the loop, even though I feel like you know which one I wrote.
I feel like you wrote two.
The one I just read?
Yeah.
ChatGPT wrote that one.
Really?
I wrote the Ben Solo one.
I thought...
This is juicy. Lothal. Did Lothal throw you off?
I'm like, that's Joey.
Yes! I knew it. They did it. I did not add that. ChatGPT put Lothal in there. I was like, oh, this is fun. ChatGPT is messing with Dan.
As soon as I heard... I was torn, because I'm like... Reincarnation is a lot. I feel like that's some ChatGPT stuff.
It is. I want to talk about my story, but I also want to talk about this ChatGPT story. I thought this is honestly what I think. Something like this, I think, might happen. We're connecting to our non-Force-based characters, leading they call it the New Republic. I think that ChatGPT might have tipped you off. I left it in there.
It did. I was really confused, but
the New Republic.
I know I guessed wrong.
I'm so glad you guessed wrong.
I'm going to walk you through my process.
I know,
here.
but this made me feel... At first, I was like, is this going to be so obvious? Is this show not going to be that interesting to listen to? But I'm glad that it went this way, honestly.
And you at home may be listening, may think it was obviously the ChatGPT or the second one.
Go ahead.
What tipped me off for the second one being ChatGPT, even though I did guess wrong, was they just started throwing a lot of characters out. So, but they're all characters that you would throw out.
Yes, and this is where they had some stuff that I told you we kind of polished over some stuff. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I did that I think would have immediately tipped you off, and why I changed it was they said that Poe was traveling with Rey and Chewie and BB-8, and Finn was a New Republic leader. And I was like, I'm not going to change New Republic because I feel like that he should have that in there to potentially throw him. But I did switch the role that Finn and Poe had. From ChatGPT, doesn't know.
Yeah,
is that illegal?
Only goes back 3 years.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I break the rules by changing it like that?
No.
Okay, good. Because I feel like it would have immediately been like, well, duh. Why would Poe?
And I think this could explain why yours was longer than mine.
Why?
Because ChatGPT only goes back 3 years.
Yeah, it doesn't know.
Doesn't know about Ahsoka.
No, I didn't even think about that. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It was interesting because they did talk about Hera and Sabine.
Mm-hmm. That probably pulling from Rebels.
Yeah. Little did they know.
And they didn't mention... I was thinking, it didn't mention Ahsoka or the Jedi. And that's probably exactly why, because Sabine was not...
Is not. You can say it.
Was not, at that point, to ChatGPT's knowledge, trained as a Jedi.
Yeah. See
this verbal gymnastics I did there?
Yeah.
All right. So what else? What else do you have to say about these stories?
Reincarnation.
Okay.
One's a little
let me speak my thoughts. So I had two stories in my mind. This one, and one that was very much so more like it all was going to be set. And in this, I have this kind of thriller vibe in my mind for this movie. I want it to be a very small movie. Not the one we're going to get 15 years down the line. I want that to feel grand and big. I want this little story to feel like it's its own little, pocket of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Where, we're not cutting back and forth to a space battle. It's just focused on this story. And these ghoulish apparitions that I was talking about, I want them to, jump out and, mm-hmm. almost like not a horror, I don't love horror, but not a horror Star Wars movie. I want something like that kind of.
You don't like cheesy horror?
Not cheesy. I want to feel nervous when I'm watching this.
Like a Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So something like that. The first one had to do with this Ben nonsense, and I'll explain my thoughts on Ben in a second.
Nonsense. It's not nonsense.
But
it was good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I have a lot of questions.
I didn't say which one I liked better.
You didn't yet.
I liked the first one.
The Ben Solo one?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was a little out there for me.
It's out there for me, too. But my other story was more like Rey encounters this, like, local tribe that hates the lights out of the forest, and there was no Ben at all. It was more like just Rey and Finn and like a buddy cop horror movie kind of. And you might be surprised, I hate horror. If when my wife listens to this, she's going to say, he wants a Rey horror movie? What is he on? But I think a thriller kind of Star Wars movie would be really interesting. And I don't want horror. I want, like, to be nervous.
Yeah. What's the horror Star Wars story with the stormtroopers?
The Legends one?
Yeah.
I don't remember. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But why I went with Ben Solo and why I think this is closer... Well, I took a big swing because at the end of The Rise of Skywalker, we see Rey see the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia.
Yeah.
We don't see Ben. Why we don't see Ben, I don't know.
Because he probably wasn't as strong with the Force. As in tune with the light side of the Force.
You see Anakin shortly after.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I think there's a reason why. And I like this concept. I was unsure of whether he was going to leave the reincarnation or he was going to go back. And like this would just be the closure of giving them more time together. But I think I was too tempted.
Yeah.
But I think there is a reason why we don't see Ben. And I like this idea that the dyad has him like trapped in between. And like that was my kind of idea with like she couldn't interact with him because he wasn't a true Force ghost, but he was not like, alive.
Yeah.
And then this weird magic they're doing. I pulled Kyber crystal out of my butt. It could have been something.
Well, when you were saying it, I was thinking, well, what if he goes back into the Kyber crystal and Rey makes a new lightsaber with that Kyber crystal?
It'd be kind of messed up.
That way they were always attached.
That's kind of weird. I would have... my two choices at the end for me were either Ben fully goes into the Force and he can now be like a genuine Force ghost like we've seen previously, or he comes fully back. That was wish fulfillment for me, bringing him back.
That's right.
And I think it could set him up for an interesting story with like dealing with the ramifications of what he did and coming back and stuff. I just think there's a reason that he didn't show up at the end of The Rise of Skywalker.
Using customs.
Space customs. Or like Force customs.
It's just Qui-Gon behind the desk.
Poor Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon's like, everybody gets stabbed in the chest, stabbed in the stomach and survives, but me.
I think, for me, first of all, your Qui-Gon comment was very funny. Second of all, I think that the dyad being introduced in the third movie, it's such an interesting concept. And I think there's more room to explore it. Mm-hmm. And I think there's more room to explore the connection between Rey and Ben Solo. Not Rey and Kylo Ren. Rey and Ben Solo. We spent a lot of time with Rey and Kylo Ren. Yeah. But I think Rey and Ben Solo would just be a wonderful story. And like we talked about last week, Kylo Ren is, I would say, the fan favorite of the sequel trilogy. Which is why when they killed him off, I was like, what are you doing? It's my least favorite part of the sequel trilogy. Because, and I've talked about this before, killing someone off, to me, doesn't... I think it's not necessarily the most effective narrative tool. And I think it's used oftentimes more than it needs to be. Yeah. I think there's richer storytelling possibilities with Ben Solo alive, which is why I resurrected him in my story.
Yeah. But remember, one of the themes of Star Wars is sacrifice.
It's true, but, there's a difference between, for me, Kanan's sacrifice and the, ping-pong Rey and Ben were doing with their life force. Yeah. I like the Force healing stuff. I like that it drains them. We saw it with Barriss and Tales of the Empire. But I just wish that there's someone... I want to see what happens with Ben Solo if he survives. That's my dream. And that's why I went with this more out of there. Yeah. And Dan, if you've listened for a while, I'm usually the one that shoots down the crazy, wild stories and theories and ideas. Yeah. So that's kind of why I was like, let's take a big swing here.
And I don't think it's impossible.
No.
I think it's improbable.
I agree. I think they can explore Ben Solo more. I don't think the resurrection thing will necessarily happen. I honestly started this with it being a way to spend more time with Ben Solo and Rey without resurrecting him or without doing some weird world between worlds stuff. And then I was like, well, they're building the strength of the dyad, whatever power this crystal has. Let's bring it back.
Do you think in the new movie he will be a Force ghost?
It's possible. I think it would be hard to not put him... Again, he's so popular.
Right.
And I know
Well, is he popular or is Kylo Ren popular?
I think one and the same.
But are they one and the same, though?
I think more people would... I think
I'm not,
more than not, people would want to see what happens with the character.
Okay, because I wasn't doing
not
that.
Guy with the mask and the red blade. The guy, just the character.
I wasn't doing that to try and be smart.
No, I know. I think people might show up for the cool lightsaber and the cool mask, but I think you stay for the nuance of Ben Solo.
He's a visionary.
No, he actually isn't a visionary.
No, he's nothing.
Like the past. So yeah, have we gone on too long about my story?
No, it's good.
I think the first one's good.
I think they're both good.
I think the second one. I think the ChatGPT one is good, but I think the ChatGPT one is honestly more like what we might get in the real movie. Which I'm sure that movie's going to surprise us in many different ways. I don't think we can anticipate what's going to happen there.
Rey with a new purple lightsaber.
No, I like the yellow lightsaber. I haven't seen it do anything yet.
Just already bought it, the yellow lightsaber.
I have the yellow lightsaber. I want another one, but that's a whole other story.
Why did you need two?
Well, the Hasbro one. You see, I have the Disney one, and the switch. Mm-hmm. It's just like a little flick switch, but the Hasbro one has the real twisty, and then it comes with a cool stand.
You could 3D print it. Oh wait,
3D printer's broken, and I haven't gotten to fix it yet. Thanks for calling me out. I think this is the second time you called me out on the air.
When Joey got his 3D printer, everybody, he promised a lot of things to a lot of people that he would 3D print.
And then I couldn't make it work. Anyway, we are spiraling. I enjoyed my story. I would enjoy the other story, too.
I would watch all of them.
I know. I like this. I like that it gave specifics, so I had the room to go on. All right, so I think my Star Wars story was better than my Parks and Rec story.
I think mine's the opposite.
So let's take it away, Dan. Read me the prompt that I gave you for Parks and Rec.
The prompt that Joey gave me for Parks and Recreation was, quote, write me a synopsis of a new streaming comedy series following Leslie Knope and Ben Wyatt's careers in Washington, D.C. following the events of Parks and Recreation. So my first series is called National Parks and Recreation.
Oh.
Yeah. So National Parks and Recreation is a comedy series set 10 years following the events of the Parks and Recreation finale. Not because you know how the finale went.
Jumps, like the end of the present day.
End of the present day, 10 years. Leslie Knope, now the Secretary of the Interior, navigates life around Washington, D.C. with rookie Congressman Ben Wyatt by her side.
Oh.
While Leslie's the highest-ranking parks official in the country, she struggles to separate herself from Pawnee, which just happens to reside in Ben's district. The nation's newest power couple must navigate the ins and outs of the national and local politics together for the first time while juggling parenthood, Washington, and most importantly, Pawnee. This show relies on a mixture of both new and familiar faces to help... to bring back in the spirit of Parks and Recreation.
I would watch that. I mean, if it's loosely related to Parks and Rec, I'm watching it. But that sounds like if they were going to make a show, that sounds like a very logical one. And I like that it grows the scale, reasonably and connects upon it. Good, very good. All right.
And the second series is called Parks and Presidents. Parks and Presidents follows the beloved characters Leslie Knope and Ben Wyatt after leaving the quaint town of Pawnee. Leslie and Ben find themselves thrust into the fast-paced environment of Washington. Leslie, fueled by her boundless enthusiasm, is determined to make a difference at the national stage, while Ben, with his pragmatic approach, strives to keep Leslie's ambitions in check. Along the way, they encounter a colorful cast of characters, including former colleagues who've moved from Pawnee to Washington, as well as new allies and adversaries in the world of politics. Despite the challenges they face, Ben and Leslie must remain committed to their ideals while advocating for the Parks and Recreation funding or tackling larger issues such as healthcare and environmental protections. Along the way, they find themselves embroiled in situations from awkward diplomatic dinners to absurd filibusters on the Senate floor. As Leslie and Ben navigate the highs and lows of their careers in Washington, they must also address the ups and downs of their personal lives, from balancing their demanding jobs with family responsibilities and navigating the complexities of their relationship in the pressure cooker of Washington, D.C.
I'm going to do the opposite of what you did. I'm going to say I like the second one better.
Interesting.
And then I'm going to say I think you read the second one.
No, I wrote the first one.
No. Okay, so let's start by saying, and mine is like this too. They're very similar.
Yeah.
I liked the filibuster idea. I my brain took off with like a role reversal of like Ben doing the filibuster.
Yes.
And like I don't know. I just ChatGPT painted a wonderful picture of this show.
I struggled in this one because the Parks and Rec finale shows what happens.
It does.
So I was working with one of them running for president in 2048. Leslie as the governor of Indiana while working in the Department of the Interior. So that's where I was trying to go.
Yeah. I feel like I was thrown off. I think you used some ChatGPT words.
Did I?
Which one of you said boundless enthusiasm?
ChatGPT.
Dang it. I was fooled.
I left that one in there.
I was fooled. Sorry. I feel bad.
Why do you feel bad?
I only don't feel very bad because they were very, 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 very similar.
I would like the first one better too. I would make some changes. They didn't give me enough information about what Leslie was doing.
That I think was something that I kind of struggled with the Ron one. But it's like, what exactly is happening? I think setting up like the filibuster, like everything on a grander scale again.
Yeah. I mean, looking at this one and the your ChatGPT Star Wars one, they're throwing things out there that it's just recognizable.
It's true.
That
like I fell for it.
Yeah.
The filibuster. I don't know why that sparked joy in me. Is thinking of like playing with our notions of the first show. It's saying that one line drew me in so much.
And so I read this one first, and I'm like, okay, because I had mine in my head, and I had notes down, but I'm like, I'm going to read the ChatGPT one. And I was debating about making Ben a senator or a congressman. And I settled on congressman because that way he can have Pawnee specifically in his district, where Leslie would want to try and get her hands in Pawnee. And I should have fleshed that out more about Leslie trying to spend too much time with Ben in Pawnee instead of as the Secretary of the Interior.
And I think it has a strong connection to like, I love the connection to Pawnee. I think that's a good idea. This show should be made. I know everyone's sick of spinoffs and continuations and stuff, but Parks and Rec is probably my favorite sitcom. And like spending more time in that world, I think would be a great idea.
Right. And Leslie in Washington.
So, I mean, Leslie in Washington in Parks and Rec was great. And I think it would be cool to watch her, like in Parks and Rec, the main show, you watch Leslie go from like gain in her competence, gain in her like realism, and I think it would be kind of cool to watch that happen in like real time and see that happen again, but in Washington on a larger scale, ending presumably with her becoming president.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Would she be president?
I think she was the president because and at Jerry's funeral in the finale. Apologies if you haven't watched Parks and Rec. Anyway, at Jerry's funeral in the finale, she the Secret Service member talks to her, if you recall, and they're like, it's time to go. They don't say anything to Ben. So I think Leslie would be the president. I also think that is more fitting for the story of the show, too.
Yes.
What you researching over there?
I'm just looking to see what they... Okay, so there's a couple different interpretations.
It's definitely ambiguous for sure.
Some people believe that Leslie became president and Ben was her vice president.
Oh.
Some people say they left it ambiguous, so either Ben or Leslie could have been the president they were referring to. Doesn't matter. They both got their feet into politics.
I think Leslie's president and Ben's the first man.
Interesting.
That's my personal choice, though. I'm clearly taking big swings today.
Yeah.
I think the show's about Leslie Knope. I think that's the point.
The prompt said Leslie and Ben.
True. It's about Leslie, though.
It is.
Good stuff. But anything else to add on this?
No, I think... I was trying to think of where would the conflict come in this show. And I think it would be more interpersonal conflict between Leslie and Ben, more so than we saw in Parks and Rec.
I struggle because one of my least favorite parts of The Office was the Jim and Pam relationship struggles.
Mm-hmm.
It was just painful to watch.
And the struggles I'm referring to are professional. Like
kind of like what we saw with when Ben became like, what was he?
Campaign director.
Not so much that, but when he was like took Chris's job, and Leslie like tried to talk about work all the time.
City manager. Yes, that's what I was playing at. Ben having to go back to Pawnee, and Leslie giving Ben a binder of things he could do to better it, and Ben's like, no.
I like that.
Which
relationship struggle. I just
yeah.
Ben and Leslie remind me a lot of my wife and I. I am certainly Leslie in this situation.
Yes. So
I don't like that, but
that's
I like the conflict,
that type of struggle,
and I think there like I could see this like sinister outside, like the Jeremy Jam of Washington, like Leslie's biggest political rival.
I don't even know who it would be because she's in.
Maybe Ben has.
I think Ben would be more likely to have a rival, as he's a congressman and she's a cabinet member.
And it would kind of be fun to watch Ben. Like, watch Leslie have to kind of be on the sidelines. Like, she can't do, everything.
And that's kind of what I'm going for. Like, Ben having to go back to Pawnee every other weekend while Leslie can't.
Mm-hmm. And she, like, to see how I think that would be a great opportunity to show Leslie's, like, growth as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now I want this show.
And then, who knows what we'd get back in Pawnee.
I think, I really love this connection to Pawnee because it allows you to reasonably pull in. Maybe you see Ron in an episode. We know Andy and April eventually moved to DC.
Yes.
Like, but Tom, maybe you see all these different.
Maybe April is Ben's chief of staff. Because I could see them working together.
100%.
Yeah.
They've
done it
surprisingly well.
Yeah.
After some turmoil.
I could see April being Ben's right hand man.
This is great. Now I'm sad. We're probably not going to get this.
Yeah.
Man. Well, on to mine.
Let's do it.
All right. So Dan gave me when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is fun. And much like yours, I do want to say, the stories are similar.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. But Dan asked me and ChatGPT, write me a synopsis of Ron Swanson getting his start in local Pawnee government prior to the events of Parks and Recreation. Love the idea. The first story here is called Swanson, Before the Mustache. I envision in both of these stories that Nick Offerman is still playing a young Ron Swanson, but he doesn't have his mustache. Because you remember when he looks so different?
Yeah.
I think it would be kind of like an inside baseball joke of like, sure, just suspend your disbelief.
I don't know.
Nick Offerman's playing
I think
this.
That would be one of the funniest things in comedy if you just have like Bill Murray playing the same character throughout like the life and everybody else just ignoring it.
Yeah, that's what I would love. It's like if Ron's in his like, in this probably like 20s to 30s, and it's still played by Nick Offerman just with no mustache to show the time difference. I think it would be wonderful. So anyway, Swanson, Before the Mustache. Set before the story of Parks and Recreation, Ron Swanson's journey in Pawnee's local government began with a reluctant step into public service. As a skilled woodworker with a distaste for bureaucracy, Ron's entry into the world of politics was far from intentional. Content with his solitary existence and simple pleasures, he initially avoided any involvement with Pawnee's civic affairs. However, when a zoning dispute threatened the tranquility of his woodworking haven, Ron found himself reluctantly thrust into the spotlight. With characteristic stoicism and a healthy dose of skepticism, he navigated the intricacies of local government, often clashing with well-meaning but misguided officials along the way. Despite his aversion to red tape and governmental overreach, Ron's unwavering principles and commitment to fairness soon earned him respect and admiration from Pawnee's citizens. Through a series of misadventures and unlikely alliances, he discovered that true leadership wasn't about wielding power, but rather about upholding the values of integrity and individual liberty. Alongside his trusted allies, including a young Leslie Knope, Ron embarked on a journey of self-discovery and civic duty, facing off against the bureaucratic absurdity with his trademark wit and wisdom. Through it all, he remained steadfast in his belief that government should be limited, efficient, and preferably non-existent. Filled with humor, heart, and plenty of breakfast food, this prequel to Parks and Recreation offers a glimpse into the formative years of everyone's favorite libertarian, as he reluctantly embraces the responsibilities of public office while staying true to himself in the slow world of politics.
Liked it.
Shall I?
Solid, yeah.
Story 2. No Parks and Little Recreation. This series follows a 20-year-old beef enthusiast, Ron Swanson. Much like his older self in Parks and Recreation, young Ron detests the government, but has never done anything to actively work against it. Having worked in factories and mills throughout his youth, and throughout his skilled woodworking and budding music career, Ron has amassed a large amount of wealth, the likes of which most in Pawnee would never see. His frugal nature led him to purchase ample land to build woodworking facilities and campgrounds to remain secluded and hide from his ex-wife. When Pawnee Department of Parks and Recreation inadvertently offers to purchase Ron's land to build a new park, this annoyed him, and he became furious when he was told it would not just be a park, but also the site of a vegan market. Ron obviously declined this offer, but was terrified that the department may continue attempting to purchase his other properties. While contemplating his options and how to best stop this from happening, as he didn't want anyone to know the location of his land without necessity, he stumbled upon a newspaper ad for a job in the very department he was attempting to hinder. At that point, he decided he could continue pursuing his woodworking and saxophone careers after hours, because he was going to apply to be Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation. After using his trademark charm to get hired for the position, Ron learns he could easily sway the director into doing whatever he would like. This allowed him to bring his anti-government views to reality. Beyond ensuring that no new parks were built, Ron was also able to shut down 3 separate parks in Pawnee. This story follows Ron in this position, learning how to make the Department of Parks and Recreation as slow and ineffective as possible. He eventually allows himself to be promoted to director of the department, ousting his predecessor to even further dampen their progress. All the while, he sparks up a relationship with a local librarian. This story concludes with the reluctant hiring of a new deputy director that would be more of a challenge than Ron could ever imagine. All right.
Ooh, it's tough.
They're very similar. Our situations for this are very similar.
Ooh, I think I like the second one better.
Yeah, that was me.
It just fits more of the...
Oh, crap. You said you liked it better. I revealed that I wrote it.
That's
Sorry.
fair.
Did you think I wrote that one?
The first one had too many inaccuracies to be you.
Yeah.
It's talked about politics and civic duty.
Yep.
In a position that wasn't a political...
True leadership wasn't about wielding power that.
And you did laugh when you were reading it. You're not one to laugh at your own writing.
Sorry. It was pretty fun. I when I did it, I was like, crap, he knows. What even made me laugh? It was, through it all, he remained steadfast in his belief that the government should be limited, efficient, and preferably non-existent. That was good. Do you mind if I talk about some of my details?
Yes,
I tried to do some exploring on the Parks and Rec wiki page. Mm-hmm. It is not nearly as fleshed out as Wikipedia, mainly because there's less media going into it.
There's less fanatics, too.
There is. I think we need to take the Parks and Rec wiki and go crazy with it. But I kind of learned that Ron was about 20 when he started working, so I pulled that information. If you recall, his predecessor was like a pothead and didn't really care about his job. Yeah. So I tried to weave that in. Mm-hmm. I brought up the idea that he had one ex-wife at the time. Because I would also like, in addition to Nick Offerman playing a young Ron, I would love Megan Mullally to also play Tammy 2 again. again, ignoring any age discrepancies completely, as if
Yeah.
it wasn't an issue. And not even, like, age them down at all. Like, no digital or makeup.
I agree. I think that'd be hilarious.
I know. And
especially
I think
if he has, like, gray hair.
Uh-huh. I think it would fit the jokey nature of Parks and Rec. What else did I kind of smile while I was doing it? He did canonically shut down parks.
Yes.
So that is a real thing. The vegan market, I liked a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what would make him... I don't think them trying to... Like, zoning dispute doesn't have anything to do with parks.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, what could they possibly do? And I think just the act of them attempting to buy his land would make him angry. But the fact that they were going to put a vegan market on it would drive him crazy.
Absolutely.
Enough to do something like this. And I don't like the concept of Leslie being in it at all. I like the concept of it ending when Leslie starts.
I agree.
She would probably be played by Amy Poehler. Amy Poehler hasn't aged.
No, you'd have. That's one of those things. You can't recast her, especially if you're doing the bit of Nick Offerman and Megan Mullany as themselves, playing their previous characters at their current age, you'd have to do Leslie.
I mean, and she would, the way I've written it here, be in the last episode in it. That's it.
Yeah.
I think, it has the same potential for silly antics and ridiculous characters as Parks and Rec and the shows that you proposed. Mm-hmm. I think this would be thoroughly entertaining, though.
I think so. I don't think they're going to do it.
I hope it's not left in the dust, Parks and Rec. But
I think it is.
I know it is.
It was wrapped up so well.
I agree.
They just don't have to do anything.
It is left with that sense of like, oh, I love this. Much like two of my favorite shows, Star Wars Rebels and Parks and Rec, ended in a very similar way where you get these like flash forwards.
Yes.
Parks and Rec was honestly more extreme. I never imagined a show would do something like that. Mm-hmm. It gives you so much closure and like happiness, honestly.
Yeah.
So I really like that. And you're right. I don't know that this would happen. I don't know that the show after it would happen, but hey.
I think the Parks and Rec unfortunately is pretty locked up.
The Parks and Rec cinematic universe.
But it's interesting, neither one of us mentioned Chris or Ann.
I don't think I would have Chris or Ann.
Yeah.
You could definitely have had Chris or Ann. So they're in Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd imagine Ann would be in it. For sure.
Of course.
But in the finale, like, I imagine their kids had met before, but like when they were teenagers in the finale, when they all went back to the parks office,
yeah,
you could see that, like, it's almost like they don't interact, the kids at least, like maybe they don't interact in person as much as you would think.
Yeah.
Canonically. I love that I'm referring to Parks and Rec canon.
It is Parks and Rec canon.
There's no legends.
Well, there's headcanon.
That's true.
That and legends are the same thing.
Hey! I need to get one of those, like, pew, 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 from when we roast legends.
It's like that Parks and Rec show. The radio show.
Thought for your thoughts?
No, the other one.
Crazy Ira and the Douche.
Yes.
Crazy Joey and the Dan.
Thank you for not saying Crazy Joey Douche.
No. That would not be appropriate, would it?
I don't know.
I don't want to call you that. Anything else on these stories? I know you didn't really say too much about it, but there's not too much to say.
No, there's...
But I think it gives a great... This was fun. I like this a lot. Do you think we could do it again?
Oh, yeah.
I think this is something that not every time, but we'll try to build in.
And if we refine our prompts.
Refine our prompts, and I think maybe embellish, like, make it harder for chat. I think, honestly, it was harder to anticipate than I expected.
I agree.
I'm so happy the Ray one got you. I'm so happy the right one got you.
I'm so annoyed by it.
Because I think you probably said this is a little bit too big of a leap for Joey to make.
When you said reincarnation, my head popped up. I'm like, this is...
I was reading off my iPad, this down angled off the microphone, and I pulled my eyes up for a second when I was like in between paragraphs, and I just see Dan sitting there with this cheesy grin on his face.
Yeah.
And I think he didn't anticipate.
No, I didn't.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a happy camper. I think we can continue doing this stuff for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Loved it. Anything else to add for the week?
No, I think we had a good week. I like the fun.
I know. I think this is stuff that we're obviously going to review stuff when it comes out, the Acolyte and everything. I like doing it weekly for sure, but I think that we want to start to expand to do a little more fun stuff like this as well.
Yeah.
And we're usually limited to like the second half of an episode to do stuff like that. So we will certainly be reviewing the Acolyte. Like I said, I look out for within the week my Final Fantasy VII Rebirth spoiler review. My wife hasn't finished it yet, so she won't be able to watch it, which makes me sad. I so badly want to talk about this game with someone, but I don't know anyone who's played it or who's finished it.
Who has the time?
It did take a while. But I did all the side quests, though. You could beat it in, like, probably 40 hours. I did every single side content. With just about.
For you guys that don't know, Joey platinums games on PlayStation.
I do. This one. Go ahead.
I do not.
I do. If I love a game, with the exception of the Final Fantasy games, because they make them impossible, near impossible, I try to platinum the game to show my, like, it's like a sign for me of, like, I loved this game and I want to put the time into it to get the platinum. Do you know how long the Rebirth platinum takes?
160 hours.
135.
Yeah.
Approximately, you know. That's including the main game time and everything. So like the 86 hours that I put in, and then
the extra 50.
Ridiculous. They basically make it so you have to do like every collectible. Like you have to do it. You get collectibles that end up, like they introduce like a third of the way into the game or 2/3 of the way into the game or something. This collectible thing where like you complete something, you get like a medal, or you get a reward for doing it, and you're getting them, and you're like, what am I doing with this throughout the game? Then you realize, so you have to fill that out to get the platinum. You have to do all these challenges on hard mode. You got to beat the game on hard mode. So you have to play it again.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's.
What did you start on?
What do you mean?
Normal.
Oh yeah, normal difficulty. No, I don't. I'm not a glutton for punishment.
So you're gonna go to platinum?
I'm not gonna platinum this game. Not right now, anyway. I could see myself both with Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Final Fantasy 16. I could see myself getting far closer when I'll just replay it on hard mode.
Yeah.
But I haven't replayed a game in a while. Time's been limited in adult life.
I know. Like
in high school, I would play Uncharted. I might have played Uncharted 2, and I don't even exaggerate this, like 25 times. Because they had this fun. We're derailing at the end of our podcast, but
well, no, this is fun.
It is fun. They had this mode where you could like give him any weapon you want, in different mods, like unlimited ammo or like quick movement. It was so fun, and like, you know, that's what I did after school, in like junior high,
nice, and
high school. Love that game. Uncharted.
Yeah, I wasn't a big. I've never platinumed a game.
It's fun. You should. My wife and I have this. It's an unspoken competition where she loves getting trophies, like to the point where she will play games just to get trophies. Are you familiar with the game My Name Is Mayo?
No.
Have I told you about this?
No.
We might have to show it to you after we're done recording. It's the dumbest thing in the universe. And in the sequels, there are 3 of them. They've gotten more elaborate, but the first game you're just sitting there clicking X on a jar of mayo, and it goes ting 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 ting, and little things happen here and there, but at the end of the day, the core gameplay is just pressing X over and over and over again. And I'll hear it like ding 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 ding, and you get trophies every like 5 minutes. So she has all these trophies from this. But I just try to get. Dan loves this.
Was it free?
No, it was cheap, but it wasn't free. My Name Is Mayo. If you want an easy platinum trophy for the PlayStation, it took her some time. Like, it's not like it was just ding, 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 ding for like 5 minutes and you're done. But it is an easy way to get a high amount of trophies compared to like Watch Dogs 2. Did you ever hear of Watch Dogs or play them at all?
Yeah, I played the first one.
So good. The second one, you had to take a picture on your phone in the game of someone throwing up. So you had to find someone throwing up, which there were locations where they would spawn, but you didn't know if they were going to be there or not. And then you take it, and like if it wasn't at the exact right moment, it wouldn't count it. So I probably spent like hours trying to get a picture of someone vomiting. Like that versus My Name Is Mayo is a little different. But PlayStation Network views them all the same.
Okay.
So I told her I'm going to play My Name Is Mayo just to get up on her. Anyway, that aside, anything else to add for the week?
No, I think it was a It's a good one.
It was. I had a lot of fun. So
Can't believe you didn't like either of my stories.
I love your stories.
I'll remember that one
for next time. I can't believe you didn't. I can't believe you didn't think I wrote the resurrection story.
I thought it's too out there.
I'm a Ben Solo
for
fanboy.
Somebody who says that I've crackpot theories, throwing out reincarnation.
Listen, I am a big fan of Star Wars doing the unexpected, bringing Leia in for Kenobi, for example, making Sabine a Jedi.
There's a difference between unexpected and out there.
They've done some out there stuff too.
Who have they resurrected from the dead?
They've not This is my point. They haven't. And I think if there's a time to do it, this is the one.
If they resurrect somebody from the dead, the people are going to lose their minds.
Big whoop. They're going to lose their minds anyway. I wanted to talk about this on air. I forgot. A tweet's been going around about like, oh, what is Rey's? Who's Rey's? Who do you think Rey's like nemesis is going to be, or like the bad guys in the Rey movie are going to be? And my favorite tweet I saw about it is white men with YouTube channels. Not all white men hate Rey, of course, but we've talked about this before. There are a population who hate Rey for for totally illegitimate reasons.
Yes.
You can like whoever you want. You don't have to like the sequels. You don't have to like Rey. But your reasons cannot be because she's a lady. Well, which I've heard way too many arguments for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, before I get on my high horse, I think that's about it for the week.
Table seems to agree.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Please give us a subscription and review on your platform of choice if you feel so inclined. Give us a follow on Twitter at Blue Shadow Pod or on Instagram at Blue Shadow Podcast, as well as looking at our Facebook page and YouTube page, which is just Blue Shadow. Mm-hmm. We have the podcast go onto the YouTube automatically and like do this cool like sound wave thing. So
yes,
feel free to give that a look.
Check it out.
And we also want to start making some YouTube specific content like Lego races or something like that.
Yes. Let us know if you have any ideas for us.
Of course, we'd be happy.
Some of them that we were thinking about is Lego races or getting a small Lego set and building it without the instructions to see who can build it more accurately.
I think that would be thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah. Just one of those tiny ones.
Yeah, like the Microfighter kind of line. Yeah. When the Rex Y-Wing comes out, I think that might be the way to go.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I'm buying that for sure.
Buy two.
I don't even care about the Y-Wing.
Buy two.
I just want the Rex. That's a whole other Lego controversy. Well, we can talk about that for another day.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening. We always appreciate it. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time.
See you next week.